Hey guys, what is going on? You are listening to WSOU. I am Nick, and I'm here with Shane from Everything in Slow Motion. What's going on, man?
Yes, not much. Just hanging out. It's a wonderful, wonderful, dark, gloomy day in Kansas City. I'm just trying to take it in, man.
I
So
feel you. I
that's about
feel
it.
you.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So how are
gloomy's
you?
not. I'm doing good. Sometimes gloomy's not bad though.
I love it. No,
Gloomy's
I
nice.
I thoroughly enjoy it. So yeah, it's nice.
I
Makes
feel
for really cool hipster Instagram photos. So
you. That's for sure.
yeah. But anyways, so.
So the big thing is you have a new EP coming out in about actually I think is it a month from today? What's today? Today? Oh
Yeah,
no, a month from
April.
yesterday. Yeah, April 22nd.
April 22nd is the day.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty excited. It'll be good. So yep.
So tell me a little bit
Uh,
about it. Lay Low. It's a little different than from what I've heard from your previous stuff, from the single that's out so far.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of so with every album that I've ever worked on, whether that be for Everything in Slow Motion or Hands or whatever, I mean, every time writing has come up, it's been in like a completely different like season of life for me. So I've always been in a different mood, in a different place. Like, life is different. I'm inspired by different things. Like my brain moves like that, like so quickly, where it's hard for me to just like I don't just stay like, all right, I'll write a metal record in 2011, and then when it's time to write again later in 2012, I'm just like deeper into metal and just get deeper and deeper into just
Right.
one thing. Like
Yeah.
my brain rolls everywhere. So when like 2011, like Give Me Rest, all I was listening to is like ISIS and Cult of Luna and like bands like that. Like
Yeah.
really just, like kind of sludgy, like really slow tempo,
Oh yeah.
that kind of stuff. And then, 2012, 2013 comes along, and all I'm listening to is like the entire Keith Urban catalog.
Okay. Switching up there.
Yeah, I mean that's just how drastic it goes for me. And then a year later, it's like like I said, it just keeps going down all these different like weird roads. And so for me, I just kind of obviously go off of inspiration, but it's whatever I'm really into at the time. Whatever I feel like writing is what comes out. And I've never been like one to try and cater to a particular market, or like I don't
Right.
feel like because I'm on Facedown Records that I have to put out a heavy record, that it has to
Exactly.
be this like just like super heavy Christian record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just kind of like blown with the wind, you know what I mean? And luckily with them, they've been really, really cool about that kind of stuff. They're just like, dude, write whatever you want to write, and we'll put it out, and it'll be awesome, So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I have just, with this last one, really kind of had an itch to do stuff that was a little more like toned down, a little more like spacey and ambient, not in the gigantic heavy way, but in more of a calm kind of way. And I mean that's not really the whole EP. I mean there's aggressive moments in the EP.
Okay.
But I mean definitely, especially when you only have 5 songs.
Right.
It's the heavy moments seem like they're it just makes it seem like a totally different vibe completely, you know what I mean? Because you only have a few of those heavy moments within 5 songs versus, a 10-song full album that has, 8 super heavy songs
Right.
and 2 like down songs. So, but anyways, yeah, so I just felt like doing something different, switching it up, seeing if I could fool people into buying it again, like every record. And, so yeah, it was fun. I love it a lot. I'm really, really excited about it. Really excited about how it all came out, and I'm already, writing on the next one, man.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
working
awesome.
on that, and found some inspiration within kind of going this direction, and found how I could kind of, get, I don't know, it's just slowly starting to carve out what I feel like is a really good sound for this project. So it's good.
Okay.
But yeah.
So what were you listening to this time around, since you said you've been switching up your taste for, every project you kind of work on? What's been influencing you for this project?
Man.
Because it's definitely got a lighter, more ambient, alternative-y kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, I definitely like that, the alternative side of things. I don't know. What am I trying to think? Been listening to a lot of The Cure.
Okay. All right.
A lot of Mute Math. A lot of this band Hum is one of my favorite bands of all time and forever. So I've been jamming those guys for like several years now. They're pretty consistent on the playlist. So that always kind of like, you can always, I feel like, hear that influence no matter what record it is of mine that you might listen to.
Right.
So there's always a little bit of that. I'm trying to think of what else. So Kendrick Lamar.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. So
right.
which is fun though. I'm trying to think of like some mainstream stuff that I've really been into. Like, I got to be honest, I may or may not jam the latest Carly Rae Jepsen album. Taylor Swift's 1989 was a big one.
Oh yeah,
that was a big one. I feel like a lot of dudes are not ashamed to listen to that. Like,
oh yeah, no.
I feel like there's guys in like the heaviest of heaviest metal bands, and it's just like, hey, what have you been listening to? And they're just like, oh, dude, Shake It Off has been like my favorite song in 2013. So, anyways, yeah, so just stuff like that. A lot more like pop-driven stuff, I think, has kind of been kind of the name of the game. But it's I like taking it all in, because then it's cool, because then when I do what I do, it sounds like me. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff isn't like drastically different from like the old stuff. There's always that like sound where you can kind of tell, like, oh yeah, this is definitely everything in slow motion thing. But yeah, it's cool how those influences find their little way into things. So and how I process it. But yeah, it was fun, and I think the production of everything had a lot to do with it as well. So. But this time I worked with this guy, Jay Hall, in Nashville, and he's a good friend of mine, and he worked on the Phoenix record as well. He wasn't producing that record. He just did mixing and stuff like that, which is kind of how I met him. And anyways, he's just got a whole different, like the way that he does things are completely different than what I'm used to, and he kind of pushed me to do a lot of try a lot of other things, a lot of different sounds, things like that, which obviously when you switch up, when you record with the same few people over, a couple albums, as soon as you change the working environment and the people involved, I mean, the album is going to take on a whole new, sound in itself. So, yeah, I mean, that was a big part of it too.
Definitely.
So
now, because I couldn't find anything, is this just your project, or is this a full band? Because I couldn't find anything about that.
Yeah, it's always been like just me basically writing and recording.
Okay.
So I'll write all this stuff, over time, demo it all kind of myself, because I'm a musician. I play drums and bass and guitar, and just kind of grew up playing all of it, and enjoyed it, and did different things in different bands throughout time. And once when I got out of Hands, when we decided to call that quits, Josh and I were kind of the main. Josh, our drummer, or the Hands drummer, was him and I were kind of the two like like dudes that would write in that band. And most of the time it would just be him and I, like, you know, just jamming together and coming up with stuff, and everybody else would come in and try and figure out kind of where they sit and everything. So when Hands was done, I wanted to continue to write and record. And that last Hands album, Give Me Rest, a lot of the dudes, like, it was supposed to be just Josh and I recording. Josh, the Hands drummer,
Right.
I keep having to say that, so sorry. But it was supposed to be just him and I recording that album. He was going to play drums, and I was just going to do the guitars and bass and stuff, and we'd collaborate on vocals and spend a lot of time, like, writing together. And anyways, he ended up having, like, some weird, like, medical incident that involved a walnut and the toilet, and was unable to come to the recording sessions in Kansas City. He was living in Fargo at the time, and
Okay.
he was unable to make it, and we had a deadline to get this thing done, and he just kind of gave me the blessing. He's like, dude, just do it. You just do it. So I ended up, like, playing the drums and playing guitars and bass and kind of just doing the whole thing.
Right.
You know, the majority of it on my own. And we had some, you know, my friend Ian came down and did some vocals, which was cool. He used to play in Hands. And, I mean, you know, we kind of had people contributing here and there, but for the most of it, it was just kind of me and the producer, this guy, Josh Barber, friend of mine, and we've just kind of knocked it out ourselves. And so after that experience, I was like, oh man, this is actually a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
I really like just doing this, you know, just kind of doing this on my own, and kind of gave me a little bit of fuel to continue writing music. And luckily Facedown was really interested in hearing what some of those demos sounded like, and the rest is history from there. You know, with continuing to put out music through Facedown. So it's just been me, but when it comes to the live shows, because I still really like playing live,
Right.
We just kind of make it happen. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure almost every one of my friends play in this band at some point.
That's awesome.
for you know, different shows. And we don't do a lot of shows, you know, the last few years. It's just been mainly festival kind of stuff.
Right.
There hasn't been any touring or anything. So, but now that this EP's coming out, and I'm kind of planted my roots here in Kansas City, and plan on sticking around for a while. I've got a really good group of guys together right now that I think we'll probably, this will kind of be the lineup for the years to come, which would be good. So,
Okay.
but yeah, and actually I should mention on this EP, speaking of changing things up and doing things a little different, I had my friend Miles. He's also from Nashville. He's a fantastic drummer, really good dude. You know, my whole goal with this EP is I just want different. I want things to sound different. I want to be uncomfortable. You know, I want to change the game a little bit, change the sound. And there's no better place to start with changing things than the drums, because the drums make everything.
Right.
So I had Miles play drums on the EP, so all those drum parts are him.
Okay.
And he crushed it. It was awesome. So, you know, and then obviously hearing his drum parts versus what I had planned made me change, you know, some of the things I was doing in the song with the guitars and the vocals, and it was really cool. So that, I think, added a lot to the things kind of sounding different as well, you know?
Yeah,
so.
I definitely enjoyed the drums on the single that's out right now. So I'm really excited to see what the rest of it has.
He's killer, man. He's a Nashville studio drummer, and he's played with everybody from Paramore to Kelly Clarkson to Tonic to, just everybody. So chances are, if you've listened to the radio anytime in the last couple of years, you've probably heard him play drums at some point. But he's at heart, he's like a heavy music guy. So he listens to super like brutal stuff that I can't even handle. So it was awesome because when he came in, like, I remember one of the first things that Jay, the producer, told Miles. You know, he's like, "Hey, Miles," he's like, "You know that, like, we're not, like, recording, like, a metal record right now, right? Like, just because it's everything in slow motion doesn't mean it has to be, like, heavy, you know?" And anyways, Miles just kind of laughed, and he's like, "I got it. So it was good. It was good to have that. So, but
now, yeah, definitely. Now, an interesting thing I saw is, because you still, you know, it's been a few years that you've been around in this band, but you've had, this is the second EP, and you've put out a full length. And this is the first project you put out in like 3 years. So, you know, what was the process from, you know, in those 3 years, and then, you know, to only put out an EP after that time span with, you know, not that much already out?
Yeah. You know, I don't know, man. Life just happens. Life is crazy. So, I don't know. I've never really felt this like super hard drive, after Hands anyways, because Hands was like full-time touring, you know. I mean, we were really playing the game, you know. And after that, you know, once just regular life kind of set in, and you start, you know, working and trying to build somewhat of a career, and me, you know, I've been building a family. I've got 2 little girls right now, and you know, you just focus all of your drive and attention on other things. And because Facedown is being so cool about putting out this stuff, you know, it didn't really require anything from me other than just writing, you know? So, so I just spent a lot of time just writing and doing other things. And then when it was time to put something out, you know, we'd do it. So that first EP, which is only 2 songs, was just kind of the initial idea for everything in slow motion. So those are the initial, like, 2 songs that I wrote right after Give Me Rest came out, the Hands record. Those 2 songs off that Red EP for everything in slow motion was kind of the introduction to this band. And those are actually the 2 songs I sent to Jason at Facedown, and it was like, here's what I got. And you know, we were just trying to decide what to do with it really at that point. And I don't know, we just thought it'd be kind of cool, like, hey, like, let's just do 2 songs, let's just put it out on a 7-inch, you know, and make the packaging like really, really cool, and try and see how it goes, see if people are interested. And it was awesome. It ended up being a really cool thing. And that was 2013, I believe. No, when was it? It was 2012 that happened.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 2012, because Give Me Rest came out the summer of 2011, and then Everything in Slow Motion came out 2012. And basically after that, I started writing for Phoenix, because Phoenix released in December of 2013. So there was a little bit of a, you know, I don't know, there was a little over a year or so gap between that EP and Phoenix, the full length. Right. So, and again, you know, that Phoenix album was just kind of writing when I could, you know, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, you know, and then after Phoenix came out in 2013, I just kind of, like, life got really crazy with just trying to figure out, you know, where we wanted to live. I spent a lot of time working on other projects and kind of taking my musical creativity time and putting it in other places other than this band. Right. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think it was Jason at Facedown that reached out to me at some point last year and was like, hey, when's the next one happening? Well, you know, when are we going to do this? And I was just like, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's make it happen. So I just had to shift gears and, you know, start writing again. And it's cool. There really hasn't been a timeline and that's been really tight or anything. So And luckily this band, and Hands included, have like the best people in the world, like as far as like listeners, and it feels weird calling people fans, but they really do, because it's awesome. It just seems like all these people that are buying it and listening to it and supporting it are just people that very genuinely enjoy music, you know?
Right.
They don't really have like, you know, it doesn't have to be this certain thing. Like, it's like the project is growing with them, you know what I mean? Like, as I've grown and matured throughout the years and my taste in music has changed, it's like, it's the same with these people that listen to the project. It almost seems the same for them too, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So, it's been really good. And everybody knows that there's not going to be any, you know, crazy tours or anything like that. So, you know, I just think when people hear like, oh, hey, there's something new coming out, they're like, tight, nice, like, awesome, looking forward to it, you know? So It's been really, really good, man. I'm just waiting for people to stop buying it and for Jason at Facedown to be like, hey, so we're going to have to wrap it up. But it's cool, man. I think with this EP and then with kind of what's on the horizon here, there should be, I think, things that will be bigger and better than ever before. So, yeah, it'll be good.
And that's the awesome thing about Facedown is I've done quite a few interviews with a bunch of the bands on the roster. I literally talked to Josh from Hope for the Dying literally maybe an hour ago. Nice. Such an eclectic, you know, roster. And we were talking about that too, is how, you know, there's no, you know, some labels it's like, all right, this is the sound and you can tell this is coming from that label. But, you know, Facedown has such an eclectic lineup, and like you said, they're very, very good with working with, you know, all the different talents. And like we were also mentioning in his interview with Facedown Fest, how, you know, eclectic of a lineup it is, but yet like it all makes sense because it, you know, it's that Facedown family. Yeah,
it's crazy because they've really changed. I mean, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, you know, hearing certain you know, bands and whatever else, you can pretty much tell, like, oh, that's got to be, you know, that definitely sounds like Solid State Records. Right, that definitely sounds like whatever. Facedown used to be that. Like 2002, 2003, you could easily tell, like, oh, that's
that like hardcore
band,
kind of,
you know?
Metalcore sound,
Yeah, just this like California like basketball jersey wearing, like, you know what I mean? That whole thing. And anyways, you could really tell. And now it's like there is so many like different flavors on Facedown right now that it's super cool. Like I really like that. And to have been a part of that too, kind of over these years, has been really, really awesome to see, because, you know, I mean, as far as I can tell, I mean, I remember like Facedown having like Flee the Scene. Flee the Scene was definitely like a weirder band on Facedown. They were definitely like on the island of misfit toys when like things were happening. And it's funny because actually the drummer for Flee the Scene, Aaron Crawford, is playing drums in my project now.
Okay. All right.
He's playing he's doing the live shows, which is cool. So but anyways, so Aaron and I have actually talked about that. You know what I mean? Like how funny that is, because when Hands signed to Facedown in 2009 or whatever it was, we were the band that was like, you know, the misfit toys. Like we were the band that, like, you know, would go out and play these shows with like For Today and Sleeping Giant and In the Midst of Lions, and it's just like you have like the most just like heavy hitting metal ultra Christian crowd in the world, and then you have us, and it's funny, there'd be like 10 people in the room when we'd play, and that they'd be all mad because they couldn't mosh and do what they wanted to do. And I remember one time playing in Arkansas at this little pizza joint, really actually popular venue I think it was in Little Rock, but like Living Sacrifice had played there a bunch, and we were really stoked to play. So we get there, and of course we're with all these, you know, like really just super heavy, like, you know, hardcore metal bands or whatever you want to call them. And because I know that I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, yeah.
it just seems like there's a million names for, those genres.
Right.
And I don't know what they are. So, but I remember people standing like in the front row, but having their backs towards us with their, like, they were like sitting on the stage pretty much, like right in front of me, and just like texting on their cell phones. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And, so anyways, but I mean, yeah, we were kind of like I said, the misfits on the label at the time, because we just, our sound was just different. And, I remember, anybody at Facedown at the time, like, Jason and Dave Quiggle and those guys, and we're always just like, oh man, they were always pulling so hard for us, like hoping that it would catch, that somehow this like weird, like heavy, but kind of like alternative rock spacey band that has, like very minimum amount of like breakdowns and things like that would actually shine through,
Yeah.
And it was cool because I think that's when we really started to build like this kind of new, this new audience that was really, really cool. And then My Epic came along, and then of course, I mean, those guys were even further down the rabbit hole than we were.
Yeah.
And also A Hope for Home. So those guys we were like best friends with, and it was, us two bands always used to talk about it all the time. Like, we'd be gearing up for some show or like, Facedown Day at Cornerstone or something like that.
Right.
We'd all just be laughing in the back of the tent because we're like, well, here we go. Like, let's see how many people we can get to keep in this tent.
Right.
And it was pretty funny. It was a blast. And now, obviously since then, there's just been like, a handful of really cool bands that have come through that aren't, the hardcore sound or metal sound at all.
Right.
And the Facedown people are loving it. The fans of Facedown Records are really enjoying it. And I think that's one thing that has set this label apart from, a lot of other labels is that they're killing it, in that department. So
Right.
you can go to their artist page and just get a variety of so many different things, which is fantastic. So
For sure.
But yep. So everything in Slow Motion is still the same deal. Still still getting yelled at for not screaming enough or whatever else by one or two people, So,
Yeah.
But it's all good.
So is that something you're looking forward to, I'm assuming, is Facedown Fest coming up in a couple months?
Oh man, yeah. It's gonna be sick. I love that fest. Like, it's such a good weekend to come together and hang out, and every year it's I just start to feel like a little older and older, because the bands that are coming in just seem like they're like in their early 20s, just
Right.
like killing it on the road. They just quit their job at like, Walmart, and they're stoked to just give it all for music. And
Right.
And it's cool because it just that's what we were doing. And when we first came to our first Facedown Fest, that's where we were at. And there were bands that were, that had been on the label for a while that were, I'm sure, looking at us like, like, oh man, like the wisdom we could pass on to these guys, But it's been great because you can go to that festival and not know any of the bands and have never met any of them. And for some reason, it's just, I don't know if it's just the Facedown thing or what, but for some reason you just instantly feel like friends.
Right.
Like you instantly feel like you're in this awesome, community of people that are embracing you even though they've only known you for 5 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
Which I've always loved, and I feel like that has always been extremely important to, even, Jason and Virginia at Facedown, that is a thing. And so, like we always do this, like we do this Facedown feast thing. So after the fest, the next day, which is a Sunday, we'll like Facedown Records will basically rent out this like patio on some pizza place in San Diego, or boy, I'm probably going to get grilled for not remembering this after how many years I've been there, and I feel really bad because it's such a fantastic place. But anyways, it's a pizza shop, and it rules. And if we were there, I could at least tell you how to get there.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's like some of the best pizza I've ever had in my life, and super cool. And anyways, Jason's whole thing with that is like, we just want this community time, you know, for our bands and us to just hang out and to, you know, break bread with each other and talk and you know, like kind of just, you know, rekindle or you know, with other bands that you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Get a chance to meet the new bands or whatever. And he's always very adamant on, you know, like, and this is like something that I've always like absolutely loved about that whole thing and about Jason is that he'll be like, okay, like no girlfriends, no, you know, extra friends hanging out.
Right.
No managers, no booking agents,
just
like
bands.
No one is going to come here, you know, and just start talking business with all these bands or with all these people. Like, guys, you know, you do business every day. That's all you focus on. And, you know, all I ask is that you have, you know, 1 or 2 hours here while the label feeds you to just talk about life and to stop doing business for a couple hours. And I always love that. I think that's like the coolest thing ever. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be great. So, and anytime you get to go and play new jams and kick out new music at a festival is fantastic. So I'm pretty excited to do that as well, you know?
Definitely. So I have one more question for you. So if someone was just finding out about your project, what would be the one song that you would show them to kind of, you know, show them what your whole thing is about?
Well, I'm trying to think because the new record's not out yet, so otherwise I'd pick one from that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you know, obviously I'd direct anybody towards Bad Season, that new song that is out right now.
Right. Yeah.
I love that freaking song.
So good.
It's just, thank you. I appreciate
no problem,
that.
Of course.
It's just so vibey, you know. It's very much like, you know, like I was talking about The Cure earlier. Like it kind of gives me like some, I don't know, like some of those vibes. I mean, The Cure is phenomenal, so I'm definitely not definitely not claiming that whatever I'm putting out is even anywhere near the level that the freaking Cure is putting out. But but the vibes are there, you know, the really cool ambient kind of vibes are there. So, I mean, I'd point them towards that one. But if you know, understandably, people might want to rock and roll a little bit more than that right out of the gate. So I'd probably direct them towards maybe that Get Out song or Speak or something. Okay. Maybe on From Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I actually just revisited the Red EP the other day, and that song Exosphere. Mm-hmm. I freaking love that song. So maybe I'd put them towards that song.
Okay.
Instead. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
so
I feel you.
I think I've got like 5 songs I'd tell them to listen to first.
Okay. That's not too bad.
So yeah, but I enjoy all of it, and like I said, definitely. You know, it all has such a different, like every song has such a different feel, you know, a different vibe. So, but yeah, but I'm pumped on this new EP. There's a song called Coma that opens the record, and that would be the song I would point anybody towards any day of the week over anything else. So, but I'm not sure when that song is going to come out. I'm thinking we might bust it out before the actual release, but I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. So, but yeah, I'm excited for people to hear that one. So, because if you want, like, if you really dig Bad Season and you like kind of the new things that song brings to the table, but you kind of like the old stuff too, as far as like the just like big guitars.
Right.
This song is like the best of both worlds.
All right.
So yeah, but yeah. So
cool.
What song would you pick if you had to show somebody?
I would definitely go with the new one. I've been really feeling, honestly, that song is one of those songs where you can just kind of play it over and over again, and
Nice.
it'd totally be okay with it.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely the way I would go.
I dig that a lot. Thank you. That rules. So, oh man, yeah, I agree. I really, you know, I don't know if have you been able to hear any of the EP yet? Like
I've only gotten the one single so far. I'll see if I can get the rest of it out of Shannon.
Yeah, you'll just have to beg her.
Yeah, I'll just be like, please.
She's super cool, but
yeah,
just offer her to send her like a bag of like super gourmet coffee or something. Maybe she'll take. I don't know, but anyways, yeah. What I like, I think, a lot about this EP is the production quality, the mix, you know, the master. Right. Everything just sounds so three-dimensional to me. Like when I listen to it in headphones, I mean, I would encourage anybody to listen in headphones.
Definitely.
If you can, because you get the full experience. I mean, you get, you know, all the little like ear candy that you wouldn't normally hear just listening on your iPhone. But yeah, the mix is just really 3D. Like that's the only way I can put it. I feel like I can like, you know, kind of like lean forward and almost put my head in the mix, you know?
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. So that song, as dynamic as it is, really kind of brings out the best in that. So, but yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. So
yeah, of course,
I'll talk for another 5 hours if you allow me. So you're going to have to cut it off at some point.
Well, that was all the questions I have. I mean, honestly, same thing, because we could keep going on forever, but we'll stop there. Is there anything you just want to say to sum it up?
You know, I don't know. To sum it up is tough. I will say, first and foremost, anybody listening, if you haven't checked out the band Hidden Hospitals, they're from Chicago. They put out a record called Surface Tension. It is all I've been listening to for the last like couple months. It is freaking phenomenal.
Definitely check that out.
Yeah, it is so good, and live they are like, I mean, I'm a big stickler about like bands like sounding tight, playing tight live, which is why most of the time I hate every show we ever play, because I just walk off stage and I'm just like, man, I screwed it up, whatever. So, anyways, but I watched Hidden Hospitals play for the first time a couple weeks ago in Kansas City, and dude, I've seen a lot of bands, and they are in the top 5, like, wow, just tightest, greatest sounding bands I've ever heard. I was just blown away, man, how they could do what they did. So if you have a chance, I know they're touring right now, so if you have a chance to see them live, do not miss it. But check out that Surface Tension record. It's killer. We're going to be doing some shows with them coming up here too, which will be really fun. So, but yeah, so that would be thing number one I would tell everybody. Is don't be a dummy and miss this band. Do not miss this band. So, but other than that, I'm just you know, really excited. So really excited about the new music, the new vibes, and really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to you and have people listen and all that. So it's a cool thing, man. So, and would love to do it anytime. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good.